Hello everyone! In this video I am going to share something special. So for those who don't know, I am a practicing psychic medium as well as an occultist or metaphysician. So I don't just study and research these topics, I try to gain real experiences of them. I'm going to share a visionary experience I recently had that was specifically on Saturday, July 11th, 2026. This is far from the first such experience I've ever had, but this is the first time I'll be sharing one on YouTube. I've shared a few on my Schola Hermetica page on Facebook, so check that out too if you're interested, but this one really stood out to me as important. There are three parts of this. First is the vision with its message. Then there's what I call an intuitive interpretation, where basically I wrote down my personal understanding of the message while I was still in an intuitive state, which is more I'm still kind of intuiting, but I'm putting it very much my own words rather than the words coming to me. And lastly, I'll share similar information that I dredged up from my years of note taking that I feel shows I'm not the first person to have these kinds of experiences. And this, in my opinion, gives me clarity that I'm in touch with the same sorts of divine forces that the ancients were aware of, that the ancients were in touch of through mysticism and such. So let's begin. Mother is the infinite, the Holy Spirit. The Ouroboros is her girdle. The infinite and eternal energies pass through Mother and are shaped by her form or essence. The Ouroboros is the constant upward-downward flow of the energies and their transfiguration as they pass through the densities that you know as the five elements. God is the prime mover, turning the wheel, the Ouroboros from above. The Ouroboros is the divine logos, as the Stoics understood it rather than how the Christians interpreted it. This is the will of God to impose order upon the created universe. The will of God is never apart from God. God is the divine mind, or nous, which rests apart, yet his rational action, or logos, is forever participant in the structuring of the courses of the energies below his sphere. This logos is the agathos daimon, the Lord Spirit over nature. The nous and the logos are never separate, but one in essence. The Great Mother is the Holy Spirit and soul of the world. She is one in essence, but separate in nature of the other members of the Trinity. She is the axle of the great wheel, hence the Ouroboros is her girdle. She extends infinitely, and the energies are held within her cosmic flow. She keeps the individual realms that God has ordained to exist in their constant state of being and becoming, so that one does not overtake or disrupt another in a way that would disrupt the course of nature. Hence, she is known as nature herself. She bestows the relative harmony of natural order and manifests what God has created in spirit into forms physical. Behold, Lucius, I am here, moved by your entreaties. I am mother of the properties of nature, mistress of all elements, first daughter of the ages, highest of divinities, queen of the good, foremost of the celestials, the uniform manifestation of the gods and goddesses. By my nod I control the luminous crests of heaven, the wholesome breezes of the sea, the mournful silence of hell. I, whose sole divinity the whole world has worshipped with diverse spectacles, with various rites, and with manifold names. In the Refutation of All Heresies, the early Christian author Hippolytus of Rome details the beliefs of a Gnostic sect known as the Paratai. The Paratai are one of the sects that he labels as snake worshippers. For although they were technically Christians, their cosmological beliefs are not far different from that of many other mystical sects amongst the pagans, including the Hermetists. I think it is worthwhile to consider what Hippolytus details about them, as it is not too different, in my opinion, from my own visionary experience. Now, like many Christians, the Paratai believed the Godhead was in a Trinity, but for them the Trinity was the Father, who is unborn and unmoved, the Son, who is self born and moves within the middle position between the other two powers, and Matter, who is begotten and moved from outside. Oh, and the name Paratai is usually translated as something like the Transversers, but it could be more prosaically translated as something like the Beyonders, an accurate name that also is very reminiscent that even back then there was so-called astral cults. First, we have a quotation from one of their mythological texts concerning the mother goddess figure as understood by them. She is essentially the life force imbued within matter, which is considered a mix of water and earth. For those familiar with Corpus Hermeticum books 1 and 3, it has interesting similarities in that respect. I am a voice of awakening in the eternity of night. Henceforth, I begin to strip the power from chaos. The power of the abyssal mire, who lifts up the clay of the incorruptible, yawning mass of liquid. She is the entire power of the ever-moving watery green mass. She holds up those that abide, but restrains those that quake, unloosens what is to come, making light what grows, winnowing what has grown, the stewardess of the track of the airs. She who savors what has been disgorged from the 12 fonts of the command. She displays the seal to the power that, together with herself, administers the invisible waters which lay upon her. She has been called Sea. The power entrusted to Sea is androgynous. She harmonizes the whistle that springs up from the 12 mouths of the 12 pipes. She dispenses through rarefaction and wipes out the fierce surge that holds the power down and seals the paths of her governors, so that they do not wage war or exchange places but through her. For the Paratai, the All is the Father, the Son, and Matter. Each of these three possesses infinite powers within themselves. Wherefore, the Son occupies the middle position between Matter and the Father. The Son is the Logos, the serpent moving forever toward the unmoved Father and toward moving Matter. At times he turns toward the Father and takes up his powers into his own person, and upon taking these powers he turns toward Matter, and Matter, being without quality or shape, is impressed with forms by the Son, which the Son had been impressed with by the Father. The Son is impressed by the Father ineffably, unutterably, and immutably. Just as a painter of living things is excluding with his brush nothing from the animals, transmits every form of their painted image onto the canvas, so the Son transmits by himself the paternal characters from the Father onto matter. Thus, all that exists in this world is impressed with the Father's character, or nothing at all. For if any one of the beings of this world is strong enough to discern that it is the character of the Father, who has been transferred to this place and placed into a body, such a one will ascend thither into the heaven, being wholly coessential with the Father. Therefore, nothing can be saved or ascend except through the Son, who is the serpent. For just as he brought down the characters of the Father from above, so he bears again, upward from this world, those who have awoken and become the characters of the Father, transferring themselves thither from this world as real natures from an unreal nature. This is what the scriptural verse means when it says, I am the door. He bears them across by opening the eyelids of those whose eyes are shut. If anyone has the blessed eyes, this one, looking up into heaven, will see the beautiful image of the serpent turning in the great beginning of heaven, and becoming the beginning of all movements for all generated beings. This one will know that without the serpent none of those in heaven, upon the earth, or under the earth will have been established, Neither night nor moon, nor fruits nor birth, nor wealth nor journeys, not one of the things that exists really exists apart from him who portends that they should exist. Upon him is the great miracle seen in heaven by those capable of sight. For at the very top of his head, a thing so very unbelievable to anyone ignorant of these things, dusk and dawn are mingled together. Even the so-called theology of the Phoenicians, as recorded by Philo of Byblos, and passed down to us by Eusebius of Caesarea in his preparation for the Gospel, mentions a theology of the serpent as the supreme deity who ever renews the world, and this theology is said to be derived from very ancient sages of different societies, with Tot Hermes, or Tautos, as the text renders him, being among them. Thus, Eusebius of Caesarea writes, according to Epeus the Hierophant, the first and most divine being is a serpent, with the form of a hawk, extremely graceful, which whenever he opened his eyes, filled all with light in his original birthplace, but if he shut his eyes, darkness came on. Epeus here intimates that he is also of a fiery substance, by saying, he shone through, for to shine through is peculiar to light. The Egyptians still portray the cosmos according to this same notion. They draw an encompassing sphere, misty and fiery, and a hawk-shaped snake dividing the middle. The entire device is rather like our letter theta. They indicate that the circle is the cosmos, and they signify that the snake in the middle holding it together is the good daimon, agathos daimon. Also, the Magian Zoroaster, in his sacred collection of Persian lore, says just this: the one who has the head of a hawk is God. He is the first, imperishable, everlasting, unbegotten, undivided, incomparable, the director of everything beautiful, the one who cannot be bribed, the best of the good, the wisest of the wise. He is also father of order and justice, self-taught and without artifice, and perfect and wise, and he alone discovered the sacred nature. Ostanes, another legendary Persian wise man, also says the same thing about the animal in the work entitled Octateuch. Therefore, all took their materials from Tautos, and speculated on nature as previously indicated. They built temples and consecrated, in the temple's innermost shrines, the first letters, those created by serpents, and for them they celebrated feasts and sacrifices and rites. They considered them the greatest gods and the founders of the universe. So much then for serpents. Well, thank you everyone for watching. As I'm doing this final segment, I'm reflecting on the last line read, about the serpents inventing writing and such. And it just reminds me, I've been reading the book The Cosmic Serpent by Jeremy Narby. Yes, I guess that's a plug. And it just reminds me of what he discusses in that work, of shamans having visions of cosmic serpents that Narby comes to a conclusion represent the helixes of DNA and their ability to radiate an electromagnetic energy that it's communicating to us. So, food for thought. So, to conclude this video, I guess, let me know in the comments, anyone who's watching, if you'd like to hear more content based upon my psychic channeling. I have several possible ideas to take that, as far as YouTube or a podcast or something of that nature. So, yeah, if you like the video, leave your opinion in the comments. Thank you.